Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Gonna touch on a few things today. I have a video that's gonna come out maybe midday today where I am Eastern Standard Time. I don't know, sometime today anyways. And it's gonna be about deception. So I still have to edit that one, so that's why it's good. It's pertinent to this time right now that we're living in. What I want to talk about is misconceptions in the Bible. Misconceptions that the smartest scholars get wrong. I would say most of them have it wrong. And to be honest, it's kind of hard to watch. It's hard to watch because they're and I talked about this kind of in another video not too long ago, because it's hard to watch because they're making people believe certain things. And so let's say I've been studying the Bible for 5 years, and let's say someone like Vudi Bakum or some, let's just say some scholar who's gone to school, who's studied a lot, who's been in whatever seminary and stuff like that, can't even discern what this verse is really saying, what a paragraph, what a chapter is saying. But the reality is that this is hidden, right? It's hidden by Yahweh. And it's hard to show people these types of things, but anyways, we all get things wrong. We don't always know things, or we don't know things at the same time until we actually are willing to take a look at it. And so before I get into this, I was watching, I think it was Russell Brand. I don't really watch him, but it was a topic that interested me. I wanted to know, and he speaks well, so. I couldn't believe it. So I'm 45, okay? So I remember being 20 years old, even younger, and older, hearing about large companies moving their factories to places like China, to places like Mexico, to places like India. And that's why you see a lot of poor places, like West Virginia, like all those types of things, like the towns in the countries, they're decimated. They're all on like fentanyl or something. They're drinking. It's because they lost all that work. And if that wasn't bad enough, it's just unbelievable. I heard these stories, but I wouldn't have guessed that this was the reason. In the Bible where it says, somewhere it says that Yah is angry, that I think it's in Revelation, because they have not paid their fair wages. The workers haven't gotten their wages. It was bad enough when they moved all their factories and all that type of stuff away for cheap labor. They did that. That's why you and I have a lot more stuff, right? Pardon me a second. I feel in my, from what happened in my back, it's traveling up my shoulder. It's going up my neck, and it's causing trigeminal nerve pain in my face. I got it yesterday. I had about 4 or 5 attacks, and it's trying to do it right now. Simply by talking or like trying to stay still. I just did a workout, not that kind of workout. There are workouts for strained back, like to keep the strength up. So I don't know, man. My shoulder, it's like traveling up the nerves that are irritated, and it's just. Ugh. So what was I saying? If that wasn't bad enough, do you remember? Okay, so we know the border's open, but I never would have considered this. The first thing you think of, okay, you know, tens of millions of people coming through, right? I think it's probably like a final estimate. It has to be 20 million people. It has to be. They say 10, then they say 12, then they say 8. It isn't. And they're shipping them all over wherever they want. It's not just for votes. I would have never thought of this. This is just as evil as it gets. Who are the people looking to make money? The globalists, right? So if it wasn't bad enough that they sent their factories away to get cheap labor and take it away from us, they decide to, and I'll give you proof, they decide to open the borders, let them come in, and the people like Walmart, Amazon, suddenly have cheap labor. There it is. So what's the proof? How can I prove it? Tyson Foods. You see what happened with Tyson Foods? They laid off 1,200 people, only to turn around, and say, we're hiring 52,000 migrants. This is all about the rich people. There's a lot more I'd like to say, but I believe in Yah, and I will not talk that way. But I think you know, probably by the look of my eyes, how I feel about that. This is how evil. They just want more money. It's all about money. They don't care anything about us. They don't care about us. They're willing to do anything to us. And that's what they're doing. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so misconceptions. I've watched a lot of sermons. I'm sure you have too. And when it talks about, you know, Daniel and Revelation and the coming of the Antichrist, when I listen to people who have been doing this all their life, who spend all their time, they start saying things like, he's going to be like this. This is what he's going to be like. He's going to be, for instance, he's going to be a great orator. That may be, but it doesn't say that. You know, he's going to be, he's going to drive a Cadillac. He's going to wash dishes, and this is how far some of them go. And I've seen all the different verses that explain, what does it say? That he will understand sinister schemes. He'll speak great pompous words. You know, he won't regard the God of his fathers type stuff. You know, I've read all those things. That's one misconception. We don't know for sure exactly what this person's going to be like. They will likely be intelligent and good looking, and that's just my guess. May not be good looking, but they would have to be intelligent to be able to get in, to rule, to be the Antichrist. But beyond that, people start building a profile that doesn't exist. I'm going to get to Daniel 9 last. And I'm going to explain it too, Daniel 9:27, where people think there's a 7-year tribulation, but there is not. I'll get to that in a second. There's a very confusing one here, and I'm not saying for sure I understand this. But in the book of Daniel, let me see this, chapter 11. Okay, wait, actually, I'm actually going to look at this one first here. Here's Daniel 8. this is about the vision of the ram and the goat. Therefore the male goat grew very great, but when he became strong, the large horn was broken, and in place of it 4 notable ones that could be Greece. The male goat was Alexander the Great, because his kingdom broke up in 4. Okay, so 4 notable ones came up, the 4 generals that took over his empire, and out of them came a little horn which grew exceedingly great towards the south, towards the east, towards the glorious land, and it grew up to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host, some of the stars of the ground, and trampled them. He even exalted himself as high as the prince of hosts, and by him the daily sacrifices were taken away, and the place of the sanctuary was cast down. I forget what that means right now. Because of transgression, an army was given over to the horn to oppose the daily sacrifices, and he cast truth down to the ground. I don't know if that's the papacy. I'd have to look at this one again, but he did all this and prospered. So is this the Antichrist? Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to that certain one who was speaking, how long will the vision be concerning the daily sacrifices of the transgression of desolation, the giving of both sanctuary and the host to be trampled underfoot? And he said, for 2,300 days, and the sanctuary shall be cleansed. It goes on to explain to Daniel. Gabriel interprets the vision. He fell on his face, son of man. The vision refers to the time of the end. But in Daniel's time, okay, so it explains the 4 kingdoms. You know what the 4 kingdoms are, right? And Greece was the last, and then Greece broke up in the 4, and then it turned to Rome, right? But it says here, in the latter times of their kingdom, when the transgressions have reached their fullness, a king shall arise having fierce features, who understands sinister schemes. His power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy fearfully, and shall prosper and thrive. He shall destroy the mighty and also the holy people. Through his cunning he shall deceit to prosper his rule, and exalt himself in his heart. He shall destroy many in their prosperity. He shall even rise against a prince of princes. But he shall be broken without human means. And the vision of the evenings and the mornings, which was told, is true. So to tell you the truth, on this spot right here, I forget exactly what that all means. It's all very confusing. And then Daniel was sick. But I'm going to go to Daniel 11. Now this is Daniel 11. When I was reading Daniel, I found all the other stuff, easy enough to understand once you look. I just forget what all Daniel 8 means right now. But Daniel 11 seems to be so very intricate, like they know what's going to happen at every single turn. I'm like, what does Daniel 11 mean? And a lot of people think this is the end times, but it isn't. I don't believe it is at all. I searched and searched and searched to see what this meant. It's just a constant battle, and the preciseness. It's a very, how long is this chapter? 45 verses. It's pretty long. The northern king's conquest, the northern king's blasphemies. It's really long. It talks about the warring kings of the south and the north, and it just goes on and on and on. which such detail, and supposedly that this is the most detailed and accurate in all of the Bible. And so I felt really confused about it because I couldn't figure out what it meant. And but then I found it. And I found it in the book of Macabees. Have you ever read the book of Macabees? You know, you're going to say, well, that's in the Apocrypha, right? That doesn't discount that story. That was one heck of an amazing story. If you like the story of David, you're going to like the story of Maccabees. These guys fought against Antiochus Epiphanes and won. It was a family. What was it? Judas Maccabeus, and it was all his brother and family, and even other generations. I haven't read 3rd or 4th Maccabeus. I don't know if those are, I don't know what they are. To be honest, I haven't gone in that before. But I read 1st and 2nd, and the story is unbelievable. What do I mean it's like David? Well, they faced a lot of hell. They won a tremendous amount of battles, like unlikely battles. You would have to think that it was Yahweh on their side. I can't think otherwise. The story is, if you haven't read 1st and 2nd, go look for it. Just type it up on Google, you'll find it. If you've ever read Daniel 11, today, go read Daniel 11 and tell me where you are right now and you completely understand what that means. Because if you do, then you're probably doing quite well. There's a lot in that. It's so detailed. It's like, how do you know all this? I'm going to read a bit of this, and I'm going to share this article with you. I don't know, though, for sure if this is the one that I read before, but it probably is. It's a detailed description of what Daniel 11 means, and I believe it. I'll just read a bit of it. To discount what Antiochus Epiphanes did would be to throw away a lot of history and the Maccabees. Maccabeus, whatever you want to call it. So I'll just read a part of this. Daniel 11:21-24, the coming of the despicable person. He will be succeeded by a contemptible person who hasn't been given the honor of, so there's one of the proofs, who has not been given the honor of royalty. He will invade the kingdom when its people feel secure, and he'll seize it through intrigue. Then an overwhelming army will be swept away before him. Both it and a prince of the covenant will be destroyed. And coming to an agreement with him, he'll act deceitfully, and with only a few people he will rise to power. When the richest provinces, sorry, I'm not speaking too well right now. When the richest provinces feel secure, he will invade them and will achieve what neither his fathers nor his fathers did. These verses introduce a person that is the biggest type of the coming Antichrist that there is in Scripture. His name is Antiochus Epiphanes. Antiochus came to power in the Syrian branch of the Greek Empire in 175 BC, and by all accounts had quite a high opinion of himself. In fact, he even had a special name that he liked to be called, Theos Epiphanes, which means God made manifest. We see from the verses above that he rose to the throne through intrigue, taking it through a mixture of force and deception. As I mentioned earlier, take special note of the actions of this character, for they point to a coming world leader in the last days. So the reason why I believe it's this is because I've read 1st and 2nd Maccabees twice, I love the story. It's long too. You look at all the battles that happen in there, and then when I saw this this article, I'm like, it just fits. Nothing else fits but this. That's how I came to this. It's you have to read Macabees first, and then this to understand. But anyways, I'll leave that there, and I'll get to Daniel. I can't possibly cover this because there's just so much. Let's just quickly go to Daniel 9. You know, like in Daniel 11, it's like, you know, the king of the north goes here and he goes there. And then this woman says this, and then this person goes, he gets angry, then he goes there. It fits the story of Maccabees perfectly. I'd love to hear your alter opinion. Okay, so just give me a second here. So, okay, give me a sec. Remember what we're talking about here, misconceptions. So what is Daniel 9 about? The end. You know, they issue forth a decree. 70 weeks are determined to finish a transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation. But what is this about? It's foretelling when the Messiah is going to come. And those numbers that you have to add up in this, there should be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. Until Messiah, right? To restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, there should be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublesome times. So what is this all about? This is about knowing when Christ is going to come. So the context of this is Jesus Christ. So we know this. This is quite obvious. So in verse 26 it goes, and after 62 weeks the Messiah should be cut off. Cut off. What does cut off mean? Killed. Obliterated. Taken away. Not ruptured. But not for himself. What does that mean? He'll be cut off, so he'll be killed, but not for himself. He did it for us. Jesus Christ died for us. I think that should be pretty obvious too. And the people of the prince. So it says prince. It doesn't say prince of the power of the air. There's nothing in there, and it's a small p too. Who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Did that happen? It did. Titus came and destroyed in 70 AD. Remember what Jesus said in Matthew 24, not one stone shall be left upon another? And the people of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. So that happened. The end of it shall be with a flood. Until the end of the war, desolations are determined. And he shall confirm. Okay, so then, so it goes on to a different, till the end of the war, desolations are determined. So, did it leave it desolate? I would say so. When the temple was destroyed and the Romans came and set up their standard. Okay, so it goes, that's 26 ended. Then it goes on to 27. Then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, which is 7 years. This is where they get the 7-year tribulation. Who's he? What are we even talking about? We're talking about Jesus Christ. Who is the only person who can make a covenant? What does covenant even mean? This is where a misconception comes, where people are like, yeah, there's going to be a peace treaty. They're going to sign it. I see nothing here that says anything about signing a pen, a pencil. I don't see anything there. Great misconception. And what I mean is, these are the biggest scholars talking about this. But in the middle of the week, he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. People think that's going to be in the temple type thing, but it isn't. Jesus Christ made a covenant with people. The only person who can make a covenant in the Bible, and this is in the Bible, right? This isn't just anywhere, is Jesus Christ, is Yahweh, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. The only person who can make a covenant is God. But in the middle of the week, 3.5 years in, the middle of that 7 years is 3.5 years in, right? Jesus died 3.5 years into his ministry. They literally gave us a math calculation here, which is amazing. What did Jesus Christ do why did he die for us? So he could save us and bring an end to those animal sacrifices. The moral law is still here, but the other animal sacrifice and all those other things are gone. He shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. So that has been completed. Thank Yah. So anyways, there it is. It's a long journey, I think, doing all this, and I don't know, that's what I have today anyways. I still, when I read that, when I tend to read these, I look and I'm like, well, what does that mean? As I'm going along, I'm like, I forget what that means. But anyways, I've looked at this so many times. That verse is all about Christ. Christ made the covenant with us. And your question is, well, okay, so here it is. So what happened to the other 3.5 years? And so it was the Seventh-day Adventists that I learned this part from, and it makes sense to me. What happened 3.5 years later? They stoned Stephen, right? Paul the Apostle stood right over. Remember, they threw down their coats or something like that, and what was it? Paul the Apostle watched as they killed Stephen, and Stephen was the very first martyr of Jesus Christ. He was an important figure. And the other question is, what could that be? So if there's no 7-year tribulation, could those last 3.5 years mean 3.5 years of the end? It's not going to be. It's going to be 3.5 years. I don't personally believe that, but if it's true, so be it, right? So need to study. I think that's the word of the day. Got to study. I'm gonna put out a video later today, sometime, maybe even tonight. But anyways, y'all bless everyone.